Well, welcome back to Healthy and Active in the Couve. I am Nick. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. And with me, as always, is Dr. Trent Corey, who is a physical therapist. And today we are going to be talking about mental health and physical fitness, activity, and how that plays a role in our mental health. And the reason we're talking about this, number one, I'm fascinated with the topic, but most importantly, during one of my last sessions, one of my clients was saying how good regular exercise is for his mental health, and he wanted to have us talk about it. So, part of the things that I'd like to talk about is just the sense of well-being that people experience, a sense of structure and organization in their life once they get in a habit of it, and then some of the things that happens physiologically in our bodies when we do that, especially our brains. So, and then I'm just going to open it up. We can chit chat back and forth, but that's basically our topic I'd like to talk about.
That's awesome, Nick. Yeah, I think it's a great topic and reason why a lot of people really enjoy running or exercising because they basically get that rush of endorphins that comes into their body. And a lot of times with your mood or your outlook on life comes from your physiology. So oftentimes if you can actually just literally slump down and kind of breathe shallow and you can start to feel pretty down. If you start to increase, your posture, improve your breathing, all of a sudden you feel better. And, that's what we're doing on a higher level when we're exercising. We're moving, we're pumping our body, we're getting all those feel-good chemicals in your body. And it's just a fascinating thing that just is part of nature, just what we've been meant to do and getting outside, especially connecting to nature. All those things matter. And then the more you can do that, the more those enhance everything else in your body. I looked up a couple things. They talk about dopamine and the reward pathways. Like you said, hey, you get a regular pleasure and reward from that feel good at the end of your workout. You feel so much better. And so, people get hooked on that, and it's actually a good thing. And
Yeah.
so we get this sense of accomplishment and motivation. It makes us like have something we're aiming for. And so super cool. Serotonin, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. We can get all into it however we want to talk about today. So whatever you want to talk about, let's go for it.
Well, one of my favorite ones is, of course, I love geeking out over the microbiome kinds of things. And you said serotonin, and I know a lot of the microbiome in our gut helps create the serotonin, but another neurotransmitter is GABA. And that's been shown to help people with anxiety disorders as well as depressive disorders. And the people who are exercising regularly start to increase this level of this neurotransmitter GABA. And then it was so significant enough that they were saying that people who exercise regularly can use that as a treatment for their depression and anxiety. And so that's the more and more they're studying the microbiome, how it reacts to good nutrition, but also reacts to good, healthy, regular exercise. They were saying that that can be used as a treatment, so to speak, if it's regular for anxiety and depression.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean, and it's so simple and it's so free. There's so many things out there trying to convince you that you're short of something and you need to get something to take to make yourself better. And oftentimes it's as close as a walk right out your front door or, picking up a little bit of weight. I mean, it's really that simple. I think since things are, and I think this is the nature of our society, we have just so many people who think that there's always something out there. They don't realize that the thing that they're searching for is like right there. It's right
Right.
there. You don't have to go anywhere. I mean, you can get up like my wife was talking about, at work, she's not having a hard time maybe trying to find a workout time to fit in. I'm like, well, you could just do a 10 air squats,
Yeah.
stuff like that does add up over time. And, just the fact of just doing movement throughout your day creates that lymphatic flow, gets those endorphins pumping, gets those things feeling better. You get that boost of a little bit of testosterone even. I mean, the adrenals are kicking in and those kind of things are super important for us to do, especially in our day and age where so many of us are stuck behind a computer. We're not moving very much, but just moving just that little bit can create that boost. I know it has for me. And that's
Yeah.
what I try to make sure people understand that it doesn't have to be this complicated thing. I think people think about like, oh, I have to work myself up to some major goal and this, deadline, this huge thing I got to do. And really, a lot of times it's just, oh, I just need to move a little bit more. And can I do it just a little bit more, make myself maybe a tiny bit uncomfortable, but actually that hook kind of comes in, the endorphins come in and you actually like doing it. And it creates this positive cycle, positive spiral upward, which is really great. And I'm sure, in your world, and especially my world as well, we see that a lot with people who they transform themselves because they are doing the work regular every day. They get that feeder. They know that they're getting better. Their weights are going up, or they're lifting higher weights, or they're doing more reps without being tired, or running
Mhm.
further distances. All those things kind of spur on a newer thing that gets them, excited and gives that like spark and that verve in life. Like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go do this. Like, and changes what's actually possible in our minds. Before maybe it was harder just to walk around the block. Now you're running, 3 or 4 miles and you're thinking about your first, whatever, 10K or whatever. So it's pretty cool. And then that's what I think all of us need, something of some sort of event, something exciting and interesting on the horizon, or something that we feel a sense of growth towards. I think a lot of us, it can be kind of drudgery. Oh yeah, workout, exercise, 30 minutes. It sounds so drudgery and like, boring. I think, people kind of relate that to maybe a mouse spinning on a wheel or something, but it can be as dynamic and as creative as you want it to be. And that's what I think what's cool is we have the freedom to structure things how we want to. You have a great personal trainer like Nick, we can help you mix things up, make it fun and interesting, and joke around with the trainer, those kind of, have friends that, that's a huge thing as well. So those group classes you guys do, sense of
Oh yeah.
community. I'm working on the cross country and track team at Skyview. Just having people together, that spurs on that sense of belonging in a community that just makes us feel so much better when we're doing it as a team. Because a lot of times, exercise, why people don't do it. It's kind of hard, right? It doesn't feel good sometimes, and it kind of, frankly, may suck. And so
Yeah.
the more we can kind of get into a community of folks who, hey, we're doing this together. Hey, we're doing hard things. We push into discomfort, and we come out on the other side feeling, the sense of accomplishment. It just makes us feel so much better, and all those chemical processes just happen, and our microbiome, everything kind of is rejoicing for all that stuff happening.
One of the things I love about what you were talking about, because I love this topic so much, in groups, when you're in a community, oftentimes you feel accepted, and that the particular hormone that's released in that is called oxytocin, and that lowers your stress hormone cortisol, which also enables you to have more testosterone being used as testosterone in your body, rather than trying to metabolize, cortisol, and have this whole relationship with other hormones. So it's, the more we're active in a group, the lower our stress hormones are, and then the other ones just get to work better, which makes us in the long run feel better. And the better we feel, the more we want to engage in that continual drudgery, if that's what it is. Or you look forward to having a trainer who's, goofy and fun, or some gym mates who are goofy and fun, or that push you past that point where you wouldn't normally go, or help you get through the race. You may, start to struggle and hit a wall, but you've got that encouragement, and all of that feeds all of your hormonal life inside of you, that then brings to life all of the good feelings, the mental health benefits, the lowering of stress and anxiety and depression and all of that. So it's I think, communally, it's going to be a better thing for you, rather than just isolated in your singular room, or in the gym with just your earbuds on, which, I mean, there's a place for all of that, but I'm always going for the community over anything else.
Yeah, and however you match up to what you feel like you need at that time is totally cool, and it gives you that release. Or some people, they my wife has these socks that have cats on them that says it's too people-y outside, so I want to stay inside. So, but like sometimes that's what people need to do. They need to get away. Like, you're in the world of stressful, interactions with people in their world, in certain, and you just need, like, I need to just do my thing, like. I
Yeah.
love that. I love my soul runs in nature, going through Whipple Creek or whatever, just
Oh,
beautiful. Like, And so sometimes the earbud thing, like, great. I think whatever you feel like is good. I think we all need to have a sense of connection and be able to vent and be able to work out those frustrations. Like, I know some days I'm a little peeved about something going on. You can pump out some weight and definitely make yourself feel a ton better. I think very few times have I ever finished a run or a workout feeling worse than when I started. There might be an injury or something, but that'd be the only reason why it would be something, but typically, I'm feeling like so much better in my mood and just so excited and better, and I'm in a better place to interact with my family and friends and coworkers and whoever else because I'm putting in that regular exercise and, definitely creating that balance that needs to happen between me just not moving very much and the rest of my life. So it's been really helpful for me to be able to have that perspective that a lot of times all we need to do is just get out the door, or even you don't even have to get out the door. Like I said, do 10 air squats, or do a couple band walks or push-ups or something. Wherever you are, just get something going and they'll make a big difference.
Yeah. Well, even as far as mood goes, I learned this in high school. One of my teachers was talking about the relationship with your posture and your mood and ability to focus. And if we're kind of like this all the time, typing away or whatever, that this person equated it to being like kind of we're guarding ourselves, we're guarding our organs and our hearts and not being open. And then when they said just simply sitting in your chair at attention, your body kind of responds to that stimulus. You're open, you're not scared of the environment around you, you don't have to guard your organs or anything. And then I noticed that when I was telling my students, when I was a music teacher, predominantly for a living, to sit up straight, and then that helps you focus. And then kind of just being aware of your body, your mood, they would relay back to me how much that did help them. And then they would remember that in practice, when they just didn't feel like they were in the mood, they would just sit up. And then I would even kind of have them smile, because you could have this frown on you, and then you smile, and you can't help but have this physiological reaction. So even just moving while you're sitting in different postures and different expressions really pushes you into a different mood, so to speak. So then you add that in with, the physical exercises and all the benefits. And then the exercise helps your overall posture to begin with. And then so it's just kind of like this ongoing chain of events that build on each other. And your
That's
mood posture changes, your microbiota changes.
yeah.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, they actually showed this. You don't have to be smiling because you're happy. You can actually do the other way around. You can just start smiling, and then your mood will boost.
right.
It's just actually just hard to do. You can't be smile. You start smiling. You go and try this, and try to smile, and then think how miserable you are. Hey, I'm so miserable. I mean, some people maybe put a smiley face on their life, whatever, but like generally, like it does actually boost your mood. And then there's another thing called power poses. I think her name's Amy Cuddy. I don't know how to spell it, but you can look it up. But she did a whole talk on power poses, and one of them's just like, you get into like, Wonder Woman pose and just kind of doing like this, being nice and strong, and thinking of, keeping that position for a little bit. This, like you said, exercise is obviously enhancing all those powerful things. You're thinking positive thoughts, or if you can combine this with those positive affirmations of, hey, I'm strong, I'm getting stronger every day, those kind of things, creating that power of excellence, that position of excellence, and being ready to take on the world that way, you'll be in so much better spot for things. And so pretty exciting stuff. That's just it's in the research that just your physiology can lead to the mood things. And so and a lot of the research with the brain as well is just like, a lot of times things just aren't switching on and off in the brain. All these neurochemicals we're talking about, those kind of help relate to how those are being active or not active by basically we're creating circulation in there, creating certain things to create the neurotrophic factors that really help the brain do what it needs to do and be active in certain areas versus just thinking that, oh, we just need to think more positive. Well, that may be part of it, but we can go physiology first is the point. We are a body mind, and actually it's not even separate, right? Body mind's all together. So the more we can kind of get everything going with our physiology first by doing exercise, by just doing what us human animals have been doing for millions of years, just getting up and milling around and working and jumping and, climbing over things and, lifting things. We do those things that nature has called us to do. Our body will sync itself to a better mode that you'll find yourself to be a lot more satisfied with.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And you said Whipple Creek, and that's one of my favorite hikes. And that if I'm going to do anything, either just my wife and me or even all alone, that's one of my favorite things is to just go out in nature. Some people call it nature bathing. I know that when we were talking before at one of the past talks, when you were over here, we were talking about grounding and like the science behind ground and just like getting back to nature itself outside of all the concrete and asphalt and machinery of modern life. That has a physiological and mental health benefit to you as well. You literally get grounded in your being rather than your thoughts floating away. But they call it grounding too because you ground in like an electrical sense of positive, negative, and neutral or grounding. And I was wondering if you'd like to speak on some of the science behind grounding itself or nature bathing or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, basically it's very simple. I mean, we are an electrical being, right? And we're mostly water. And when we put our bare feet or bare skin on the earth itself has an electrical charge. And so we actually then get the effect of having those electrons going through us and actually can help with free radicals. And so simple. But there's a great book out there by Clint Ober, I think his name is, and I think Clinton's the co-author, but it's called Earthing, and it says, the best health discovery ever, question mark. And really, it's really fascinating. I read that book probably 10, 15 years ago or whenever it came out. And the effects that they're showing with this scientifically is astounding. I mean, it is totally worth, especially with us being near these things. I mean, like near this computer, we have Wi-Fi going all around. The more you can kind of get out into nature, we talk about inflammation as being kind of this rampant thing that's happening in our culture, and that creates all sorts of problems. Basically, if we can get outside, and even you don't have to be walking around if you're kind of afraid about stepping on something. Basically, if you can just kind of work on stepping on the earth or just sitting, and just putting your feet on the earth, especially as it's getting warmer out, most people can do it. But you can also just bathe and or go jump in a lake or those kind of things. Or those are still grounded surfaces. And so the more we can kind of do that, will really help us become a lot more a lot more connected to Earth as well. We're not having as much of an issue with that. So it's super interesting. The science has been there. They do make earthing pads, and you can have it like I had for years a one that for my mouse pad, so I could be grounded while I was at the computer.
Yeah.
And and then also they make pillowcases and all sorts of things that ground into, you think of the third, the little hole, and you have the outlet, you got the two prongs, and then you got the one hole. It actually plugs into that ground, and that's ground, and that connects to ground. Now that could be a problem with electrical circuits in the ground itself, so we do have to be aware of like where we are in the grid. If you can still get effects of that in our neighborhoods and such, but it's best to do this maybe as far away from other things as possible, but you kind of have to work with where you are.
Right.
But that's super important. The more we can kind of do that, the more we kind of sink to a deeper, softer, slower rhythm of nature. And then it gets us out of like you were saying, that buzzing that's going all around all the time. It allows us just to kind of get a little more centered, a little more relaxed, and have a better perspective from which to work and live from.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. And speaking of that, I saw an ad the other day, even for grounding bed sheets, not
Yep.
just pillow,
Yep.
but like sheet for us. So it's cool that a lot of the science is becoming mainstream in technology, even. But like you were saying, you got to be careful with how it's set up in the electrical grid. But
Yeah, and there's ways to do that. They actually have ways you can test the outlet, make sure it's actually purely grounded, and you can always consult with an electrician too, make sure it's good. But generally, like they have these testers that say, hey, it's actually working well and that kind of thing, and you can actually test it, see if it's actually making the circuit. It's pretty fascinating, how we are electrical beings. I think a lot of us might overstep that. They don't really think about how that's super important. So, yep.
Absolutely. Um, well, I just wanted to touch one last time on some of the things that I found. There's lots and lots of resources for mental health and exercise, but some of it is kind of like they're even on here. Not to read a whole thing, but basically to sum up some of it, it helps to make more resilience in your mental and emotional capacity when you're dealing with, like, say, crisis in your life. Regular healthy exercise and things like that stimulate your ability to process tragedy in your life or crisis, or even just not get overwhelmed by life in general. So I think just as an overall health benefit, just regular movement and regular exercise, can not just help with just anxiety and depression, but even just resilience, which is a huge thing for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that we get trained. That's why, exercise is such an analog to that. It makes it such an important thing that it goes right along with trying to be more resilient in your normal life. I think a lot of people kind of buried down in their situation and kind of wish for things to be better, like they just hope that the things will just come around to be better. I mean, that's the wrong thing to do. It's actually, I mean, I don't want to say, hey, that's wrong, but like, you know what I mean? Basically, we need to build up, hey, this is the way things are. We can't argue with reality. So we need to work our way and to be stronger. So, the Lord is challenging us to do things better, and we gotta rise up to that, And so when you're doing hard things like, pushing heavy weights, or you're running a little farther than you are, it just shows that we do have that amazing capacity. I mean, I think so many of us just sell ourselves so short for what we can do. We need to make sure
Yeah,
that we're definitely working that limit and notice that, hey, we can do hard things. And the proof that we're here is proof that you've made it from the past stuff that you've had. So you can
right.
do it. And so, so stop, it's okay to have a little pity party for a little while, but after a while, you got to be like, hey, this thing's coming in front of me, and, there's no way around it or under it. I have to go through this.
Yeah.
And understanding that that's the resolve that kind of will come from, especially from those folks who, you and I both know of people who are really, exercisers who, this is part of their life. They can handle those things so much better because they just know that tough things are just part of what happens in life. And the more we are able to handle those things, because we have that background of like, okay, I've done this before, I can do it again. So it's super important.
Yeah, you know the outcome intellectually, but your body knows the outcome. And I think that's where that dopamine motivation happens, because it's not that you're going to necessarily get a dopamine reward at the end. I think that dopamine is rewarding you preemptively, saying that this is going to be good. And so it's motivating you to say, I can finish this, I can do this, and it's going to be awesome when I stop.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We're creating that loop that's super more positive, and we're creating those things to use our human physiology for for our advantage to deal with our situations in our lives and to become, better humans on this earth, helping others and making sure that we're serving our missions that we want to do on this earth. So.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to have to wrap this up, but it's been an awesome talk. And I definitely want to promote all the things that we're doing health-wise, as far as groups like your Chi Running and the group classes that we have here at Northwest Personal Training, and as well as the private instruction that both of us do. If anybody's interested, we can leave links and conversations down in the comments below. But would you like to say anything more about Chi Running or anything like that?
Well, chi running is just a beautiful thing that helps you become more in tune with nature with running. So it's less force. It's a lot easier on your body, but it's also a mind shift of like, hey, I don't have to work so hard. And you do have to be persistent with the focuses, but it does definitely create this great feeling of, the feeling of less effort while you're running is actually a wonderful thing. So loving when I can share it to people and give them new ideas of like, wow, this is a lot easier, to different perspective using Tai Chi concepts. But this has been part of nature for years. So I'm happy to share it at any time.
Awesome. Well, definitely those interested, check it out. I'm going to have to check it out sometime because I'm super interested. My schedule just hasn't allowed me, but hopefully in the summer it opens up. So, but yeah, so great talk today. And then, check out all the things that we're involved with if you're interested. And then we will see you again next time we come talking at you. So,
All right. Thanks, Nick. Thanks.
take care.
All right.